Hey, well, it's Huck, and I'm here. I'm actually in bed. I'm laying down. It's like 8:30 in the evening, and I'm laying down. Um, I have my oxygen here because I sleep with my oxygen. Um, I have now been in the house for a week straight without leaving the house. Well, without leaving, I have gone out on the porch. I've walked out to my car, which is right beside the porch. Um, I started the car yesterday because I didn't want it to go more than a week without at least starting it. Um, I finally, I was going a little stir crazy, so I got in my car today and I drove about, I guess would have probably been about 5 or 6 miles to the next town, a little tiny town. I went into they have like a circle that goes around the green or whatever they want to call it there in their little village. I drove around that and came home. I never left the car. And my oxygen was real low today. This has been an ongoing little concern, I guess. I was supposed to see my pulmonologist at an appointment. I think it would have been on the 19th. And I was afraid to go, I had another appointment with I don't know what kind of doctor he is, but I thought I had maybe a slight hernia a couple of weeks ago, and I think I still might have done that. And I had an appointment for the 25th, which, what was that, today or tomorrow? At any rate, I canceled that as well. Although I think I think there was a good chance that those appointments were going to be canceled by them, had I not canceled them. But I'm just paranoid about going out, particularly to any place that looks like a medical facility right now, because of what's going around. Now, in my county, the last time I talked to you about a week ago, there were, I think, 2 cases in Trumbull County, Ohio, where I live. That has since risen to 10 cases. Right next door in Mahoning County, which is home to Youngstown, Ohio, they're up to, I don't know what it was, 40-some cases. Just north of us here in Ashtabula County, and I'm I'm near the southern border of Trumbull County, so you go all the way across the county another 20 miles or so, and you'll get to Ashtabula County, which is the northernmost county in eastern Ohio before you get Lake Erie. And Ashtabula County, north of us, I think has only 5 cases. The 4 counties with the most COVID-19 cases are, I think Mahoning County with Youngstown here is number 4 on the list, and I think they're just about neck and neck with what is it, Hamilton County, which I think is home to Cincinnati. I think Cuyahoga County up around Cleveland has got the most cases here in Ohio. Well, at any rate, other than all of that, one of the things I've been looking into is the possibility of getting my groceries either delivered to me or one of the grocery stores that I don't usually go to because there's a grocery store that literally is 4 blocks away. It's, like less than a half a mile away. And I'm afraid now to go grocery shopping. And I last went and picked up a few groceries, would have been almost 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks ago Monday. And I'm okay. I don't need anything right now. But I've already compiled a list of about $80, $85 worth of groceries that I'm going to want to get next time I go. And I found out that there are 2 places that actually will deliver, but I guess I'm not in delivery range of one of them. But you can order your groceries online with an outfit called Giant Eagle. Their prices tend to be just a little bit higher than my local shop and save where I do my shopping here. Um, but I'm willing to at this point. I'm willing to pay a few dollars more. Certainly if it's going to keep me safer. Um, at any rate, they have a service where you can either have a curbside pickup. You order your groceries online, which takes a little while to navigate through their system and find what it is that you're looking for. And you can't always find everything you're looking for. And then they do the shopping, and then they arrange a time and a day and a time when you're going to come and pick them up. You pay for them online, and then the guy just puts them in your car. I was just going to possibly try to do this, and I can open my trunk from inside my car, have them put everything in the trunk, and I'm on my merry way. And except for the if it wasn't for the perishable items, the things that were either frozen or refrigerated, theoretically, the thing you could do would be to leave those items in your trunk for 3 days and allow, any virus that might be apparent on the bags or on the items themselves. Theoretically, after 3 days, you'd be somewhat safer to fetch those things. But failing that, I would have them. I would then bring them up on the porch, grab the items that need to go in the refrigerator, and spray them down with some kind of viral cleanser of some sort, fantastic or whatever. And at any rate. So I went through that, and I found out that they're so backed up they can't even do that, right now, which is understandable. People that never would have thought of doing this, using this kind of service. Then I found out that my shop and save down here, they've been doing a little bit of this delivery kind of service themselves. You order, what you want on a Tuesday. They do their best to try to deliver it on Wednesday, but I guess they're having trouble keeping up as well. So, at any rate, I'm gonna see where I am Tuesday morning and maybe give them a call and see if I can order a few things and just kind of keep the list short and as efficient as possible. The other big adventure I had here was I'm going to call it the adventure of the mice. Now, I know about a year ago I had a little mouse problem, which I never usually have. But in my kitchen, in the cupboards underneath the sink, in the corner cupboard over there, which is kind of near the refrigerator and between the sink and the refrigerator, there's a corner cupboard where, I had caught 2 mice last year. And I kept setting traps for them, and that's all I ever got were 2 mice. Well, at any rate, I saw some indications that maybe the mice had returned. If you've ever seen these before, if you've ever had a mouse problem, you can tell the telltale signs of mice. They leave little mice droppings. And of course, that's not good. You got food around and at any rate. So I have one mouse trap, and I set it, and I caught a mouse. And I set it again, and I caught a second mouse. Well, so I set it again. Now, this is all just in the last week. In all, I've caught 3 mice, and 1 mouse tried to make its escape and was left the kitchen. I saw it running across the living room floor, and eventually I had it trapped and cornered. And by the way, I do really poorly at these kind of physical chase ordeals. I was so breathless. I was having the mouse was clearly physically stronger than me. I kind of propped the door open, and the screen door, set it open, and I chased the mouse right out of the house. And he ran right off the front porch into the yard, and then I watched for about 20 minutes as he kind of kept wanting to come back. And I don't know what ended up happening to him. I caught a fourth mouse the next day, so I don't think that was him. I don't think he came back in the house. So altogether, I caught 3 mice, and one was made its escape, I guess. So I've set the trap again, and I'm hoping that's going to be the end of it. But I guess only time will tell. Peanut butter is a good enticer of mice, I found. So anyway, I'm fine. I'm taking absolutely zero risks, I guess you could say. I've not had anybody over the house. I've not come within, 6 feet or 10 feet or 20 feet of anybody now in more than a week. And I'm pretty much planning on keeping it that way for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. I have been calling my friend Dustin. We've stayed in touch. We've talked virtually every day. We've called each other, or I've called him, or he's gotten a hold of me. Today's the only day that we haven't talked. And that's unusual. Usually, if this were not going on, it would be not unusual for me to go 4 or 5 days in a row with the, really not getting in touch with him or anyone else. When you have to stay put, it just, it seems somehow much harder to do. I don't know. Anyway, that's been my experience. But, I've noticed my oxygen levels have been creeping down much lower. When I'm sitting still or laying down or whatever, I seem to be okay. If I'm sitting around not doing anything, my oxygen level seems to be hovering around 94, 95, which is a little lower than I'd like, but I guess that's okay. But I grabbed my portable oxygen concentrator, and I grabbed the battery for my scooter, which is in the trunk, which I haven't used now in over a month. But just in the remote possibility that I was going to go out for a ride today and that my car would break down, I wanted to be prepared, and have my scooter on it because I knew I couldn't walk any great distance. If my car broke down, I was in the middle of nowhere. Then my scooter with a full battery charge supposedly could go about 12 miles, at around 5 or 6 mile an hour. So, for that, like I said, I wasn't going to, wasn't planning on using it, but, in an emergency, it would be. So anyway, so I carried this battery out to the car and my oxygen out to the car, and I sat in the car. I wasn't wearing my oxygen. And I sat down, and I'm way out of breath, and I checked with my little oximeter to see what my oxygen level was, and it was 79. Now, I don't remember it ever being that low before. I mean, 81 maybe might be the lowest I've ever seen. 79. And I'd only been off oxygen for maybe 2 minutes. Anyway, so, I put my oxygen on, my oxygen concentrator, I put it on. And it didn't take long for it to, get back up to about 94, 95 with the oxygen. And like I said, then I took a little ride. I drove in a circle around my town, which isn't very big. And there were quite a few people, out and about doing their shopping or whatever. But I would say half of the businesses in town are closed up. There's a lot of bars in town, and there's a lot of places to eat, I guess you could say. And most of them have tried to find a way to stay open through all of this by offering some kind of takeout, food. I'm a little frightened of trying to do that, ordering anything for takeout, simply because I don't want to take the chance of having that person-to-person contact with whoever's going to give me my food. Plus the remote possibility that the food itself might be, contaminated by whoever prepared it. So, I don't know. There's at a certain point you have to take some risk because the food you're going to get from the store itself, even though you're going to cook it or whatever is, at any rate, I try to reduce my risk as much as possible. Um, I drove around, the town, and then I drove out of town. I drove into a nearby little town called Brookfield. Like I said, it was just maybe 6 or 7 miles away. It's kind of a nice country drive to get there because you're not driving on a highway or anything. You're a little 2-lane country road to get there. And Brookfield is a kind of a little village itself. At any rate, I was thinking of driving all the way to Pymatuming, which is, would have been another 20 miles or more. And I got to Brookfield and I decided, no, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Let's just go back home, stay safe. So that's what I did. So that was my big adventure, the first time really out of the house. First time I've left my yard in a week. And, I'm willing to go to get my groceries at some point, but I'm probably going to try to do that curbside express pickup or use Shop and Save here in town if they can, in fact, deliver it. I'll just have them put the groceries on my porch, and then I'll use extreme caution of unpacking them and, decontaminating them, and I don't know, there's probably a strong possibility that there's nothing to decontaminate, but I cannot and will not, take that risk because I just can't afford to. So those are the things that I've been up to. And, normally in the evenings, I usually occupy myself by watching Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, and I still try to view those as I can, but the news is so grim that you just can't dwell on it. The reality is bad enough just having to live it without having to hear all of the bad news every day for hour upon hour. So I've limited, my television viewing of the news and those shows. I still try to get the gist of it, and I still, certainly am paying attention to what's going on locally, and I try to get more local news now, and I do certainly get the bulk of what's going on. I watch most of Chris Hayes and most of Rachel Maddow, but then I actually splurged and I started my Netflix thing up again. It was an expense that I decided was worth it, simply because there's about 8 or 9 different shows I can get lost in, and I'm way behind. It's going to take me forever to get caught up with, because I'm way back on like season 3 of Grace and Frankie, or the beginning of The Witcher, and beginning of a show called Dustin keeps trying to tell me that I need to watch a show called The All-American. I'm caught up now with Lost in Space, so I have to wait for that, along with Stranger Things. I'm all caught up with all of that. At this point, I'm wondering whether or not they're even going to be able to film these shows, when again. But at any rate, there's a number of shows that I've been watching, and just to kind of get my mind off of, what we're all dealing with right now. Anyway, I am fine, though. And I been going to bed a little bit earlier and getting up a little bit earlier. I'm glad to see the weather is starting to warm up a little bit now. We had our first day really it hit 60 degrees today. We could use a little bit more of that. Sunshine would be really good. And that's about it. That's what's going on. I hope that you are not taking any chances whatsoever, and that you are staying safe, using your heads, I'm hoping that we will find, that this effort we're all undergoing is going to pay off, and that our hospital workers, our doctors, and our nurses, and our hospital staffs are going to be able to meet the demand. Um, it's looking pretty grim in some big cities, but I'm hoping that they can stay safe, these heroes, and that they can somehow get a lot of the equipment and protective gear that they need. Um, I think it is a shame that our federal government is not doing or showing the leadership that they should be showing, and trying to use the power that they have to, first of all, to be ordering these things themselves. If they were doing this in a centralized way, they would be able to have a enormous buying power, and then they could distribute, all of this equipment and gear, out to who needs it. And a more competent federal government would be using the power vested in them in itself to do just that. And instead, we've got a situation where cities and states are literally driving up the price, competing against one another for a lot of this stuff, and in some cases competing with other governments, for some of these things like ventilators and N95 masks and things like that. And it is it's if I could, if I could wish for one thing in all of this, other than that this would go away, that this disease would go away, it would probably be that that Trump would be removed from office, and whether it be by the use of the 25th Amendment, or if the Senate were to revisit their acquittal decision. But apparently, we're stuck with this guy, and frankly, if he did leave office, I'm not sure I have much more confidence in the in the guy that would follow him. Pence is well, at any rate. So it really does seem like the perfect storm, doesn't it? A confluence of just the worst possible circumstances. Certainly the worst possible person in place at the head of our government at a time of real crisis. And things were already really, really rotten, really, really bad for the country. This just kind of exponentially makes it, unbelievably worse. But just all we can do is be resilient and do the best we can to keep ourselves and our families and our loved ones safe. And I hope with all my heart that you are doing that. This is one really bad time to be alone. If I ever wish I had, had married or had someone, special in my life, that this would have probably been a good time, if only because I would have had somebody to, to cheer me up when I'm not feeling so well, or someone that I can sit and play, cards with or something. You know what I mean? Have a conversation with. So I have been trying to split up my day doing different things. I get caught up with some of my Rachel Maddow and those kind of shows early in the morning. I think partly to get it out of the way. So I'll tape it at night and I'll watch it the next morning. And then as the afternoon wears on and after I've eaten something, then I try to, I pick something to do, some kind of chore to get done. And whether it's, cleaning up the kitchen or getting some laundry done or, making my bed and, cleaning the bathroom up or whatever it is. And it takes me a while to do any of these things because of my condition. But, and then, I usually will try to make a phone call or something in the late afternoon or, have contact with someone. And I've been playing a little bit of my video game. I have an online game. It doesn't cost anything. But it's actually Lord of the Rings. And I've been spending a little bit more time playing that lately. Mainly because it puts me in contact with other people that are also playing that game. My understanding is probably a lot more people are gaming right now than even normally because everybody's stuck at home looking for things to do. And then finally, after dinner, I will sit down and relax and try to find something to get my mind off of things to watch, on TV. And some nights it's a real stretch, which is why I re-signed up with Netflix for now. And because I don't find a lot of things on network TV happen for a while. There's maybe 2 or 3 shows at best that I watch, during the week. Mom and The Connors and with no sports on TV, it's just not much other than like I say the news programs that I used to watch at night. Now I watch the next morning. Anyway, that's it from Huck. I promised you I would try to put something out there at least once a week, and I think today's about a week since the last time I posted. I'm not sure what day last week I posted, but I'm going to try to keep that up. Again, I'm doing okay, and hopefully I've not exposed myself to anything, so I think I'll be fine, and hopefully you're doing fine too. I will see you again next week. Okay. All right. Take care.